And I welcome everybody again. I'm so glad to see you and to be here. And I want to thank Herb on sound and Valerie and the slides, how beautifully you do. I want to thank Reverend Doug and Troy and our wonderful Megan, president of our board, and our chaplains. And I could go on and on and on. Thank you all for being here. So I want to just comment on something Linda read so beautifully. On my way here today, I was listening to something. I think, you won't believe it, I think I was listening to Lukenbach, Texas. But anyway, God bless Willie Nelson and Waylon. But I started to cry again. And truthfully, the only thing that stopped me, I could feel the tears. I thought, do I have waterproof mascara on? Or do I want to smear? But you know, it brings me to what happened to Linda today. She was so moved that it brought her to tears. As when I was growing up, my mother never ever cried. That was just not what we did in our household. No, that's not the story. Let me restart the story. My mother cried all the time. There was lots of problems with my brother, etc. I made up my mind that I would never cry, ever, because I'd had enough. And I didn't. I didn't cry for anything for years. I just held it in. I got ulcers several times, but boy, I held it in. I didn't cry. But what unity has done for me is it's opened my heart. It has let my heart soften and melt. And now I cry at everything. I truly do. If something inspires me or the kids say something, I really have to pull myself together so they don't think Mom is a total wreck. But yes, it's opened my heart, and I think that's what unity has done for so many of us. It has brought us from our mind. Charles Fillmore was very, very mental, but it brings us back to Myrtle Fillmore, the other co-founder of Unity, and our heart space. So anyway, that was just part of, that was the open, I get credit for that. That doesn't count for my time. So I'd like to start with something kind of funny today. It tickled me. So a woman is going in for open heart surgery, and she's very frightened, of course. It's a major surgery. So right before the anesthesiologist comes in, she asks God, she said, "Oh God, am I going to survive this?" Well, the answer comes back and says, "You will live for another 40 years. So, of course, she goes through the surgery. She comes out beautifully. She thought, well, if I'm going to live for another 40 years, I might as well have some work done. So she goes back in the hospital. She has a facelift, tummy tuck, liposuction. She's looking just great, dressed all up. When she got home, walked across the street and was hit by a car and killed. And when she got to heaven, she said, "God, what in the world happened? You told me I had 40 more years. And God said, "I'm so sorry, but I no longer recognized you." So we have to be careful. So we'll start with a story, with a very metaphysical story. We're going to start with a story on the three little pigs, huh? And what we know about the three little pigs, it's truly a metaphysical story where there's a big bad wolf. And that big bad wolf can be what life throws at us, because we never know. So how do we build our house? Well, one of the little pigs built it of straw, one of sticks, and one of bricks. Well, we know what happened. The one that was built with straw and sticks was just blown away when that wolf, that storm of life hit. And we all gone through storms of life, haven't we? But the house that was made of bricks withstood everything. And that again is Unity's story to you and to me. We build our faith through prayer, through meditation. So when those storms hit, and we never know, I truly get the chills when I say that, we never know. You know, we can, all of a sudden life is wonderful and we're moving along and something happens. Now, are we made of straw or sticks, or is our foundation so strong that we know no matter what is happening on the outside world, and a lot can happen, and we know that, a lot of loss, a lot of sadness, whatever it is, uh, uh, diagnosis, and as we remember, only God is the final prognosis, right? But something inside of us is so strong that we know there is a power and presence for good in this universe that is always more than this, that is always saying, come, I am more than this. I am more than death. I am more than the newborn baby. I am more than whatever, the joy you're going through, the sorrow you're going through. I am. The I am presence is always there. But we have to be quiet to hear it, because it's that still, small voice, isn't it? And the thoughts of all the things, 70,000 thoughts a day, we've got all this confusion and stuff going around, that we block out the voice that says, I will never leave you. I will never let you go. I am with you. I will sustain you through all things. And that's why we come to unity. Not to hear about our past and any mistakes or that we're sinners. That is, I leave the, St. Paul in Philippians said it so powerfully. He said, I leave the past behind, and with arms outstretched to whatever lies ahead, I go straight for the goal. And that's your story and my story. We leave the past behind and we open up our arms. Lead me where you need me, and I will follow. And that's the promise. That is the promise. We follow the teachings of Jesus. We are a Christianity that is anchored in the teachings of Jesus. And Jesus was always moving forward. The Father within that doeth the work is what he said. So we have 12 powers in unity, and each of the powers are there for our soul growth. I won't go through all the powers today, but I'm sure either Reverend Doug or one of our speakers, as we progress through the months, will go through all of the powers, which again are all soul growth. I can name them, but I think in lieu of time today, I'm going to concentrate on two. One of them is Zest, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of them, and really it's almost my favorite, is life. Life itself. You know, we are given every day a chance of life, and it's not just our life and the life around us, but it is the universal life that is always with us, that is always sustaining us. It is a God that is so great and so good, and we are the beloved of God. You know, Charles Fillmore was way ahead of his time. He was a brilliant, brilliant man, and he said things at that time that may have seemed absolutely ludicrous, but are right on target today. He talked about energy and vibration and all of the things that the physicists are talking. This is the time where theology and science truly come together, isn't it? Because for so many years, religion and science were at odds with each other. No more. They are tied together so clearly and so intricately. So life calls us forward, this wonderful life, not only from the inside, but the whole universe. Life itself is another, you know, we were talking in class on Tuesday, and someone was saying, well, I don't like that name for God. And I said, that's ridiculous. I don't know if ever anyone has seen that beautiful, it's a plaque, or it could be just something you hang. It's like 60 names of God from all different parts of the world, and all different religions. So what we call God, what we call spirit, what we call life itself, it doesn't matter. It is life itself. It is the love intelligence that governs this universe. It is that which never fails. I will never leave you or forsake you. Again, I am with you always. So, I don't know, I don't think they do it anymore, but do you remember in the NASCAR races where they would say there would be a man out there, or I guess now I can't say man, a woman, whatever, but at the time it was a man out there, and he would say, when it was time to start, he would say, start your engines. And that's what this time of the year is for. It's crisp outside. I was out about 5:30 this morning, and the crispness in the air. This is a time of rebirth, of revitalization. We leave the hazy days of summer behind, and now we move forward. We move forward into a new part of life, a new season of life that gives us the opportunity to anchor more deeply in a faith, in a way of living, in a philosophy that says to you and to me, you are needed here. This is your time. And we never know day to day if it's going to be our time or our number, so to speak, is going to be up. But this is our time. It's a time of refreshment, of reinvigoration. And we get to choose how we're going to spend that time. We get to choose. You know, there's a story of the butterfly where the caterpillar that crawls and crawls and crawls and struggles, and lucky it's not stamped on. And then it goes into a cocoon, and it changes, and it morphosizes. What am I trying to say, Reverend Doug? Yes, remorph. Anyway, that. Thank you. And it becomes the butterfly. And you and I have been the caterpillar struggling on earth, because sometimes life is that. But then we come into unity. We come into this magnificent metaphysical faith, and we change, we transform totally, and we truly become the butterfly. The wings of eagles, Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah calls it, those that love and serve the Lord get to fly on wings of eagles. So each one of us get to be that butterfly. We get to fly higher and higher. And the truth of it is, as we fly higher and higher on these beautiful wings of faith and knowingness that my life has meaning and purpose, things around us start to change. You know, I talk about the time my daughter-in-law was here. We were in Los Angeles. I was thinking when my grandson was here, and he had never heard this story. And she came over for dinner. I was living in Marina del Rey. I had a traditional background. And she started talking about the universe and all of its goodness, and a power and presence that's all around us, inspiring us, lifting us. And my whole life changed. But when my life started to change, my family started to change. The whole dynamic started to change, because when one person starts to change and uplifts into a higher consciousness, everything around changes, and if it can't change, those people fall away, don't they? Because our light becomes so bright that people that are not on that level of energy fall away. They can't stand the light. And you know, they're saying now that, I think it was Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is a scientist, a medical doctor, and he was saying that throughout the day, the aura around us changes. When our energy is low, that aura slims way down. When our energy is up, it's a beautiful aura. And that means all that see us, they may not know what they're seeing, but they are seeing something special. And in our upliftment, they are uplifted. You know, we have the opportunity. Jesus said, when all come to me, all are lifted, and that is the truth. When we shine the presence and the power and the love of Jesus through you and through me, when we are uplifted and we have anchored in the knowledge that we are here for a purpose. Many of us, we're told, we're born in original sin. It still goes on, I'm told. And that is such, I'm sorry, but it is not, I was going to say something stronger, I won't. It is not the truth. It is not the truth. We can let that go right now as we restart this season. And we know, and more scientists are talking about it, that we, before we ever came into this lifetime, we chose to be here at this time in this place. This was a choice. And don't ever, it was an accident. There are no accidents. This is a synchronistic universe where everything is happening on time and in time. We decided to come in, which means that we are here for meaning and purpose. That this life, our life, the life around us, and life itself needs you and it needs me to shine its light as only you and I can shine our light. We get to be that place where others are uplifted, because that's why we're here. You know, we talk about this great kaleidoscope of life, all of these colors, and each one of us are a magnificent color. The beautiful purples and pinks and blues and yellows and all of the colors that we see in a kaleidoscope. And if we don't do our part, that part of the kaleidoscope doesn't get lit. So each one of us, I don't care if we're 20, if we're 90, we'll talk about Charles Fillmore at 94 in a few minutes, but we have meaning and purpose. So every morning when we get up, lead me where you need me. I will follow, because I know if I'm breathing today, I have meaning and purpose in my life. This universe has called me forth, and I am ready to move. I'm ready to be here for God. Whatever you want to say, God, Holy Spirit, I'm here for good. So as we restart our engines into this beautiful season called fall, we get to refocus. Refocus, we can refocus our imagination. Our thoughts create our life. 70,000 thoughts a day we think. Where are we? This is our third principle of unity. We get to create through our thinking. So what do we want to focus on these next months as we enjoy the beauty and the crispness of life? You know, the holidays are coming up, and some of us are thinking, oh, you know, there'll be sadness. Others are thinking with joy. But we get to reprogram our thinking. We get to know that no matter what is happening, if we have to volunteer in a soup kitchen to uplift us, and we get to be grandchildren, but we get to uplift our thoughts, because as we are lifted, all are lifted through us. You know, this Mary Mannon Morrissey used to tell the story, or say, and at the time I was living in LA, and she was giving the talk in LA, and we hear about Watts, right? And she was saying, is your mind clear enough, clean enough for people to walk through your mind, and it's clear and it's beautiful and it's peaceful, or will they be walking through Watts? So we get that choice, don't we? What do we want? Our minds, because our thoughts reach out, don't they? You know, there's a story about Charlie Brown and Lucy. We go from metaphysical to the three pigs, and now we're at Lucy and Charlie. Anyway, they were looking through a window, a beautiful window, and there was gorgeous scenery and flowers and trees. There was a fountain, and Charlie Brown looks out and says, "Oh, this window is dirty. There are thumbprints all over. These people just don't do a good job with our cleaning. It's just foggy." And Lucy says to Charlie, "What are you talking about? Look outside. It's beautiful. It's green. It's filled with God's colors and glory." So we get to choose how we're going to look through the window of our life. Are we going to say, oh, it's smudged, this is wrong, that's wrong? Or can we hold that higher watch and really look at the beauty of life? And I think this is the time of year where God shows off, Spirit shows off. Joe Dispenza calls it the grand operational design, shows off through its beautiful colors. And if we look at God through everything, for God is everywhere present. There's not a grain of sand where God is not. To look at the colors, the yellows, the reds, all over, we get to really anchor every day in the glory and the beauty of God. When Reverend Michael Beckwith used to have many, many years ago, when he started having these visions, at first he thought he was psychotic, is what he thought. He got very frightened. But one of the visions that he had when he went into another place was God is beauty. And he talks about that in almost every sermon he's preached for 37 years, that God is beauty. So we look for God in all the beauty around us, in the children, in the leaves, in each other. So often we look in the mirror and what do we see? Let's change that. We see now the beauty that we are, not from the ego, but from who our soul is, why we're here. A divine appointment, a divine assignment that only you and only I can fulfill. And if we decide not to fulfill that assignment, that means it will never get that beautiful light in the kaleidoscope. So our answer, the one universe, this word that the universe always says it loves the most, is yes. Our yes. Now, I'm not saying if somebody offers us something that's not right. That's not what I'm talking about. When we are offered an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to uplift, or perhaps a job that we're how many times have I said no because somebody suggests a new idea, a new thought, and I think, oh, maybe that's not right. So I shut it down. The universe says, don't shut anything down. Expand and grow, and especially in this magnificent season of Christmas and new beginnings, new season. So we get to refocus. We get to use our imagination. What would you like the next 3 months to be? Or what would you like today would be? Or this week would be? We get to focus on what we want, and then we say yes. Because when we start, lead me where you need me. Trust me, you will be led. New ideas will come. And it's up to us. Is it yes? Or is it, well, I'll think about it. And somehow it drifts away. Anybody can associate with that? Well, I wish I couldn't, but boy, I have over the years. So I don't know what time Reverend Doug will be looking at his watch. And I only have 10 more stories. He loves me so much. He loves you. And the next one is, let's see what the next one is to refresh ourselves. Have you ever, well, my daughter just moved in about 3 months ago or 2 months ago into a new home out in a place, I can get it way out. I call it Locust, Texas, but she doesn't think much of that, so it really is Lucas, Texas, and it's a beautiful place. But at the bottom of her lot, the community is built on 6 lakes. But when we got there, when she moved in, the lakes actually smelled. It just smells. You know how a lake can smell, or a river when it's stale. But then within about 6 or 8 weeks, they started to put new water in. New water came from some springs that they were pouring through. And now it's flowing again. And that's your story and my story. If we do not put new thoughts into our life, we get stale. Have you ever noticed that? We get stale. And Nancy is giving a class, Nancy Little, who's one of our LUTs, licensed unity teacher. She's an excellent teacher. And October 9th, she is giving a class for newcomers. But it's not just for newcomers. It's for any of us that want to refresh and renew our understanding of our unity principles. Because what we have here is so magnificent. And we don't want to in any way get stale. This morning I picked up a book. I try to pick up whatever book I need. And I picked up the beautiful book by Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, on healing letters. And oh, her words are so magnificent. She's answering letters that were written to her. And they're letters filled with hope and renewal and new ways of being and thinking and gratitude. And if we focus on those things, then our rivers, so to speak, our life itself, we can associate with, doesn't get stale. And have you ever been with people that their life is stale? They're telling the same stories, the same, this. No, we are made anew. That's the promise. When we are open and available to Spirit and to studying this magnificent philosophy that we call unity, it is metaphysics, it is not New Age, it is metaphysics. It goes back to the time of Plato, when we are open to constantly opening that book in the morning, opening that book at night, opening the book through the day and reading meditations, quotes from Jesus, from St. Paul, from the Fillmores. All of a sudden, we're renewed. New thoughts, new ways of being. So, we talk about life. Oh, and I love to talk about life itself because it's so huge. But the other thing I want to say is when we are living life itself, this big life that is offered to us, does that mean we're going to be president of a country? No. It means that we have our parcel of earth right in front of us. That's our life, our friends, our family. And these are the people that we're here for. These are the people that don't know it now, do they? But they need us. God needs us to shine its light as you and me and to all that we meet. Our life is so valuable and so important, not in ego, but it's important because we have agreed to be here. We have said yes to being here. And the more we say yes, the more the universe says yes back. And my last statement, Reverend Doug. Charles, now we're going to talk just for a second on one sentence. Charles Fillmore was filled with life. Both of the Fillmores were filled with life, new ideas, new ways of being, new ways of praying. And when Charles was 94, he wrote, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me." That's your story and my story. Life itself is calling us with energy and with zeal. And this is right before he remarried, by the way. So none of us are too old, too young, whatever. So think about it. Every time you walk out this October, which starts Wednesday, the beauty of life itself, the crispness, all of a sudden we are being called into a new phase, a new season, a new reason to refresh ourselves, to renew ourselves, and to know beyond a shadow of a day, for this I was born. And that is the truth. And so it is.